Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's a great crowd. We thank each of y'all for coming. At this time, please be respectful and silent, so cut off your phone. As mayor, I call this meeting to order on Tuesday, June the 2nd. At 5 p.m., council met and we discussed closed session, Section 6, personnel issue. We will be going back into closed session after the meeting. At this time, let us stand for the pledge and prayer. And I'm going to ask Mr. Jerry Smith, can you lead us in the pledge?
Thank you, Mayor. All right, dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, but most importantly, thank you for these council members, the administration, fire department, public works, police, for keeping us safe. Thank you for everything they do, and God bless this town. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Jerry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda for this afternoon?
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilman Thornton, a second.
Second.
A second from Councilman Jessica Smith. All in favor? Okay.
I would like to amend some parts of it. I need to determine what parts they are.
Before we approve it, yeah.
I want to amend the budget.
What, I'm not following you.
Well, I mean, are we asking to approve the agenda that we're going into, to approve that?
Well, what we'll approve the agenda, and then we're gonna go into public hearing. And then when we go into public hearing, we'll go for each one of them. After we do that, we'll hear public comments, and then in new business is where we'll go into vote
Okay.
on the budget.
Okay, so like the consideration under new business number 3 to adopt the 26-27 budget ordinance.
Yes,
That's where it would be done.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank
So you're good?
you. Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor, a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? It will be the minutes from May 5th, May 12th, and May 14th meetings.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor from Councilman Thornton, a second. Councilwoman Daisy Smith, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So we're going to go into public hearing. It will be 2 different public hearings. Each one of them we will go in and out of. Each time we will have public comments. And as we just stated, in the new business is when we will vote to do what we go over in public hearings on that item. So at this time, do we have a motion to go into public hearing 2026-2027 budget year?
So moved.
So I have a motion to go into public hearing from Councilwoman Daisy Smith. A second? A second, Councilman Shelton, all in favor? So we're now in public hearing for this. There is no one signed up. We do have somebody signed up, sorry, this was turned. So on budget, we do have one for Mr. Jerry Smith. Jerry, if you'd like to come up, please.
Mayor and council, thank you. In this current budget, which represents 5 years, the total of 5 years, the fire department budget will have increased 46%. The public works department, a total of 53%. Police department, a total of 83%. And our public administration, 122%. This current budget, if passed tonight, will show a total police department salaries of $425,850. Fire department, $75,000. We have 7 on the fire department roster, 7 age 65 and up. That is beyond sustainable. And I encourage, if you haven't already done it, to put some type of plan in action. People talk, these gentlemen, these fire department, our police department, they are public servant heroes. They do a fantastic job. At age 72, your mental faculties, your physical faculties are not what they used to be. I don't want to quote how many people we have certified to go into a burning structure right now. But we have old buildings. We had a tragedy in Eden not too long ago. A gentleman driving a truck, age 65, right? Things happen physically and medically as you age. There's no way around it. Madam Mayor, has anyone put their heads together on a plan for the future for the fire department? I'm not asking for a response tonight, but I think we need one. Chief has a full-time job in Winston-Salem. He conducts a meeting every Monday, and he has a family. He has no more time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. So we have here, what we will do is go out of public hearing, and then this will be voted on in the new business. At this time, do we have a motion to come out of public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilman Thornton, a second.
Second.
Councilman Bennett, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So we're out of this public hearing. We're going to get ready to go and have a motion to go into public hearing, and this will be for the text amendments to the flood damage prevention ordinance. Do we have a motion to go into that public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Daisy Smith, a second.
Second.
Councilman Thornton, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we're now in public hearing there. We have no one signed up. So we'll make a comment. We'll go out of public hearing. Do we have a motion to come out of public hearing?
So moved.
So I have a motion from Councilman Thornton, a second Shelton, all in favor?
Aye.
So we're now out of public hearing. We have no old business. We have no public comments for tonight, so we will go to new business. First, we're going to start with the presentation of Rockingham County Comprehensive Transportation Plan, and this is going to be presented by Emily Stupka with the NCDOT Transportation. She is a NCDOT Transportation Engineer. I'm sorry, we're going to do it.
Just want to be sure. Did we miss it?
It'll be down here.
Later.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good. No, you're good. Good evening, everybody. I want to thank you guys for your time today. As the mayor said, my name is Emily Stupka. I'm with the NCDOT. I'm a transportation engineer in the Western Piedmont Group. I'm joined today by my supervisor, Andy Bailey, who is the supervisor of the Western Piedmont Group. Don Valere, who is your RPO coordinator, the Piedmont Triad RPO. And then Devin Jones, who is a HBU fellow who's with us for the next year-ish. So we're going to be presenting today about the Rockingham County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. We're going to be talking about what a comprehensive transportation plan is, what a CTP is. We're going to get into the Rockingham County process and how that's been going. We're going to get into the specific recommendations we have for Stoneville. We'll have some time for questions if there's any, and then we're going to ask you guys to consider adopting this CTP. So I'm going to turn it over to Devin to talk about what a CTP is.
Good evening. So quick, we're going to go over what is a comprehensive transportation plan. It's a long-range needs-based. It's a needs-based plan based on community consensus, and it's looking into 25 to 30 years into the future, and it's updated every 15 to 12 years depending on the county. It was developed alongside local stakeholders, the RPO, NCDOT, and it's considered all multimodal transportation plans. So that includes highways, bicycle, pedestrian, rail, public public transit and airports and ferries. It's important that we identify some of and future needs of the transportation system within Rockingham County, but developing a CTP doesn't necessarily guarantee funding for these specific recommendations. It also aligns with our complete street policy, meaning that we can better support bike and pedestrian opportunities within residents in the county. And lastly, it informs the public about prioritization, project development, and also design. Lastly, it informs the county about land use decisions. Depicted here on the screen here, it shows that the NCDOT project delivery process when it comes to a comprehensive transportation plan. And the first step is creating a long-range planning, and right there, that's where we determine the needs, and that's the first step here. Following that is the prioritization, then program following there. It's important that all local officials, community leaders, and people in the public put emphasis on what projects that they would like to see within the community. Those needs will be need to be addressed to the RPO coordinator, Don, and also Division 7 staff within NCDOT. Again, this does not mean that projects will be guaranteed for funding. Now, we have the comprehensive transportation plan process. We started Rockingham County's comprehensive plan back in the winter of 2023. There, we kind of started finding the deficiencies within Rockingham County, as well as drafting and evaluating some of the constraints within some of the proposed projects. Step 4, that's depicted on the screen. After evaluating some of the constraints, we agreed and drafted a plan, and now we're here to seek adoption, not only transportation adoptions. Throughout this process, we held 2 public engagement efforts, one at the beginning to gather community concern feedback about the recommendations. For both efforts, there was an online survey held and flyers posted all over the county. During the second effort, we had 4 public meetings to gather feedback regarding some of the recommendations from the public. The locations were as follows: Eden and Reedsville Library, Reedsville YMCA, Mayodan and Madison's Recreation Center, and all efforts were in person. And here on the screen we have the facility types within Rockingham County, and the inset shows Stoneville. And here, this is a highway these are highway facility types here, and it kind of goes by minor thoroughfares, major thoroughfares, boulevards, expressways, and freeways. And depicted here with Stoneville, majority of all recommendations will be proposed within minor thoroughfares and major thoroughfares for all highway recommendations. Now we'll bring Emily back up.
Thank you, Devin. So I'm going to talk about some terminology before we get into the Stoneville recommendations that we have. The first term is modernization. You're going to hear me say that a few times. Modernization means that, we're addressing some substandard roadway designs. It means the roadway, when it was designed, when it was built, does not meet our current standards. So usually this means things like inadequate lane widths. So we might have roads that are only lane. We prefer that they're 11 to 12 foot lanes. This could also mean that there's no shoulder, unpaved shoulder, a very small shoulder. So we might come in and recommend that there's paved shoulders. And this could also mean horizontal or vertical alignments. So it could just be maybe a really sharp turn or a very big hump, issues like that. We also have intersection improvements. I don't think we have any for Stoneville, but when it comes to intersection improvements, we look at a few things. We look at, is there a high frequency amount of crashes, or are there very severe crashes, maybe crashes that led to major injuries or even death? We also look at things like traffic congestion at intersections, so maybe where there's storage capacity issues, where you notice there's a lot of cars backing up, or maybe there's not enough storage for people to be turning if there's like a left turn lane. And it could also mean alignment issues. Again, that could be some outdated intersection designs where it's a little wonky, it's not really up to modern standards. And I just want to remind you guys that these recommendations are at planning level. So project-specific designs would be down the road if these projects get to that funding stage. We keep it pretty high level when it comes to these plans. So for the highway recommendations we have for Stoneville, we have one recommendation, and this is along Church Street / Stone Mountain Road. The recommendation is to modernize this road to 11-foot lanes with those paved shoulders. And this would be from NC 770 to US 311. And then on this next page, after each map, you will see a list. So this will contain more information. So this will kind of explain the description of the recommendation and also the why. So you'll see that it says, widen this road to 11-foot lanes with paved shoulders. And then the identified need on the right will say the reason why we're making this recommendation, which is there's limited between Stoneville and then central Rockingham County. So improving this road can help improve some of the connectivity issues. Also just helps with general mobility and safety. Move on to public transit and rail recommendations. Hopefully you guys are aware of this SCAT bus you guys have in Rockingham County. So the one recommendation we have that may affect Stoneville and the neighboring communities would be the expansion of SCAT. One thing we heard a lot from the public and from our steering committee members was that they would like better connections between the towns. I think it's really just Reedsville, Eden, and Maiden. So if you're trying to get around the county, you have to go in a very specific order. So improving those connections between the different towns can help improve the overall connectivity and experience of the users. And you'll see the list there as well to explain how we got to that determination. And then our bike and ped recommendations, we have a decent amount of those. So we have, I'll explain the colors on here. So purple are your sidewalk recommendations. The yellowish color are the bike lanes. Green is both sidewalks and bike lanes, and then brown are your multi-use paths. And multi-use paths can either mean greenways or they can mean side paths that are a little like off the road, a little more safer, a little wider. So you'll see some purple concentrated in central Stoneville, so those are sidewalk recommendations we're making. We also have bike lanes that extend to the town limits. These bike lane recommendations are from your current CTP, your old CTP. They extended a lot further. We think it's more reasonable to think people maybe want to bike within Stoneville limits, so that's why we're keeping those, but we trimmed them down a little bit. And like I said, those brown are those multi-use paths. So we have some multi-use paths that we're recommending to help connect Eden, you guys to Eden, also to the state park and to the Stoneville Memorial Park. So you'll see on the list following this map that quite a few of them are located on 770, and then also quite a few on Henry Street and Glen Street. Also included in this presentation and in the agenda are the county maps. So if you guys want to see all of the recommendations that we're making in this county, or maybe how your Stoneville recommendations play out, in comparison to the other areas, I have those as well. I believe in the agenda we also included a full list of all of the projects, so when you're looking at this map, you can correspond those numbers on the map to the list to see what those projects are. But thank you. I guess I'll open it up to questions, and then, like I said, we're going to be asking you guys to consider adopting this plan for Stoneville.
I'll start with a question.
Yeah.
So the meeting places were 2 or 3 in Reedsville and 1 in Madison Meadow?
Yeah, we went to the Madison Maiden Rec Center, we went to the Reedsville Family YMCA, and then we did the Reedsville Library and the Eden Library. Originally, we were trying have one at the Wentworth, at the government buildings in Wentworth, but that unfortunately fell through, so we moved it to another Reedsville location.
So there was none in Stoneville.
And no, there was none in Stoneville. If you guys have recommendations of where we can go in the future to get good feedback, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be great. Because, I mean, that's sort of, I mean, I cannot answer for these guys. I didn't hear anything about it. I would have been there.
Okay.
I mean, for our feedback, I mean, I appreciate what you've done in your time greatly. It's wonderful. I mean, I didn't know anything about it.
And this was prompted by the DOT,
Well, I guess it's technically prompted by the RPO, but this is something we do at the DOT. We update it about every 8 to 12 years. I think the last time this was updated was 2010, so it's been a while. So it's something we do, we rotate through the counties depending on how long it's been since it's been updated.
So who would have been the person, or who came from this town that did the recommendation about doing Church Street and going, and I want to make sure I understood you, was that going from Church all the way to 135, or you called it 311?
Yes, yeah, 135, yeah.
What in the world can they get on 135? That's the most wrecks of anywhere in this town.
That's the most wrecks you said?
Yeah, that's lots. So I'm just curious. I'm just trying to get answers. What it was it? There's lots of other places. That's
whose feedback?
yeah, that's not a safe.
I'm not sure who specifically provided that feedback. We had a steering committee that was made up of stakeholders across the county. I know that in the beginning we had Dylan Brown, who was on our steering committee, and then Michael Sands has been taking over since. I know he came in rather late. Yeah, but I'm not sure who made that specific recommendation. We also got feedback from the public during our first round of public engagement, so that might be another reason why this was identified.
did they,
No, sir.
so out of all of Stoneville, you just arbitrarily picked Church Street?
No, we look at the roads, we see what kind of deficiencies they are, and considering that that road only has 9 to 10 foot lanes, that's something we want to make sure that there's a good connection between Stoneville and the rest of the county. So we recognize that that road, has substandard design and could be improved.
Can I ask, so let me ask a question. There are sidewalks, definitely, that when I see them on there, 100%, we need them. I think we would do them ourselves if we had the budget to complete them. Don't disagree with that. I don't see that there are major impacts to the property in those areas. However, places on that map where I question the addition of either a sidewalk or widening the road, particularly the Church Street, 770 to 135, that space has to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Our homes sit very close to the road. I am concerned about, now one, this is out there, so when you say you're asking us to adopt it, I read that you're at the final planning stage in your process, and if this council adopts it, that means that we've, in my mind, blessed it to say, okay, we feel good about what you presented. I personally didn't, Kathy said this was the first I'd heard of this when it showed up in the packet. I have major concerns about specifically widening that road because that's quite a few feet. I question where it's coming from. In this project, have you guys gotten far enough to look at? I know there's a particular spot where there's not land to one side of the road. So if it all has to go to the other side of the road, are we talking about someone's house having to be purchased to make this happen? You're talking about taking people's trees down to make it happen. I mean, a lot of things. And a lot of these people have homes for forever. So I think about the children that live in these homes, putting them closer to the street. Just a lot of things are going through my head. And now this is out there. So as a council member, there are parts of this that I love and would just say, yes, that's great. But then I also look at the parts of it like widening the road, and I think, okay, we still have roads in our town that are not wide enough for the 2 cars that need to pass on them. Church Street is one of the better roads in the town of Stoneville. It's maintained, it looks great, it's wider. I know you're saying it's not wide enough, but we have far greater issues than Church Street. being very transparent with you that I cannot personally stand by this particular plan. There are parts of it that I love, but that particular part, I feel like I would need more information. And then some of the downtown parts where we're talking about, you guys have it like pedestrian and bike. Where does that space come from? The railroad runs through there. You're not going closer to the railroad track. The house over here that's front door is almost already on that sidewalk. Where does that bike path come into play? How do you make that happen without negatively impacting the people who live here?
I understand where you're coming from. I would just say that these recommendations are more just identifying that there's a need to improve this, and as far as the actual issues of land use and housing and the design, and this is something that comes down the line. This is more recognizing, you know, there's a need for this, and it allows you to kind of fight for funding if you guys choose that.
But if we don't adopt it, or if we did adopt it, but we firmly disagreed with one piece of it, is there any option to change it once you, I see your head shaking, yes. Once you say yes to it, is it like we stamped it and we're done? Because that would be my serious
Well, we
concern.
can still make changes to this point if this is something that you guys are very passionate about. I can also say that even if you had this full project in there and you had issues kind of within that Stoneville limit of where there's housing,
Exactly, yes.
when they do the feasibility study and they look at who's going to be impacted, that can be trimmed. So maybe it's only modernized from a certain point instead of affecting.
But is that decision from the DOT or is that decision from the town?
That decision is from the town. Here's the beauty of this plan. This plan gives you a blueprint of options. You may say, hey, this sidewalk on this thing on 770 will coordinate with the RPO, and the RPO can coordinate with the division to put prioritization to that project. If the identification of Church Street or other, when we say Church Street, it's essentially it's a state maintained road.
Right.
And it's one of the identifications I remember from this process is that I wanted to better connect to the center of the community for business purposes as well as, of course, for the government centers. So those are some of the reasons why that was the particular route chosen. There's a few different routes, but that was the most direct route. So, but the good or bad part about this is that none of these right now have any funding in our State Transportation Improvement Program, which is a 10-year document. So anything that happens here is likely 10 years plus from now. So I wanted to let you know this is a blueprint of plans so that you're able to prioritize these when you wish. The town could go through a myriad of different councils and so forth and not prioritize anything. These are things that allow you the flexibility based upon your town's priorities.
Have any of y'all been down Church Street or Stone Mountain Road?
In fact, we're going down that way this
So you haven't yet?
I have. I've been, and I can see where there are pinch points and where there also is a good amount of road. And the cool thing about making a recommendation like this is not just that we're going to plot down 11-foot lanes with 4-foot paved shoulders. This is very context sensitive to the area. So if you do end up prioritizing it at some point and say, hey, we know that this road has some problems, then it goes through a project, obviously has to get funded, and then goes through a project planning process, which then comes back to you specifically and says, hey, what are your needs? What do we need to look out for? What are those land use issues that we're concerned about? So the cool thing about this is that you don't have to commit to these projects. They're just available for your use and prioritization. We want to make sure that we're identifying the key locations. We want to make sure that your town's connected and is an attractive town. As people can get in and out of it.
Right.
Yep.
And, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think just my thought is, and I hear 100% what you're saying, but I still have the concern that if we say, okay, yeah, let's adopt it. You guys put that plan out there, and let's say it's a couple of years, because you just said it could be 10 years from now. A couple of years from now, this looks completely different, whole new set of people. Somebody comes up here like yourselves, they present it. I don't know, maybe that group doesn't dig into it as far, or they just don't see it as that impacting it at that point. And there's not a lot of discussion and it just proceeds forward. I just feel like at this point, I wish we had the citizen feedback and we could either remove things before we had to say, yay, let's keep it in the plan, or not in the plan. Because I kind of feel like Stoneville didn't put a lot of input into this, maybe our particular citizens. I think I saw a note in there about one person put some negative feedback about the Church Street. I don't even know if that person lived in Stoneville. I'm assuming they did, if they were allowed to comment.
I will say that we had one person who filled out every single highway recommendation, and it seemed like I don't know if he or she, to each project that wasn't in their town.
Oh, so they were just trying to get funding to their town.
Possibly, that was
Okay.
my theory.
Okay, so I did notice that in the notes, so it just caught my attention, but like I said, I think there's some great things in there, but that one
And if
causes
it's,
me to pause.
and if it's the council's wishes, because this is pretty much a Stoneville project with a little bit of county in it as well, that's something that you could make the motion to approve the plan without that recommendation.
Or if you wanted to trim it to a certain point where you know it's no longer going to be affecting some of those properties that are road.
And I think that would be fantastic if we had some options to do that prior to, and that's just me speaking, so now you all, sorry.
That is an option,
Okay.
and this is not unheard of, so this is.
Okay, perfect, good to know. Thank you.
Yes, that is good to know.
Perfect. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I was just going to say, only thing I had envisioned was when you come off of Main Street and you're going down 770 across the railroad tracks, and you've got a sidewalk that runs all the way to the apartment complex on the right, then it stops. And then there's a residential development over on Hampton Street on the left side, but our park's down there. And so I could envision seeing bike trails and sidewalks on both sides of the road, and particularly on the left side that would run all the way to the left side, because people go out and jog off of Price Street and they have to come up through the grass off of the road to get back to the sidewalk halfway to Main Street. So that would have been my focus, if we're dealing with certain amounts of money or something. But I was just kind of myth how we chose Church Street to go all the way. Like what was the purpose and where were we going with all this traffic?
Yeah.
770 is going to be a lot of traffic on it coming into Stoneville. It already is, but is it trying to go to? Is that what the purpose of this is?
Well, I would say the recommendations for just the modernization on Church Street, again, it's just to help better connect Stoneville to the rest of the county and make sure there's a reliable road that can get you to and from. So modernizing this road to make sure that it's a little bit wider and there's paved shoulders, makes it more reliable, makes it safer, it just helps the community of the region.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us. We appreciate it.
So like we were saying, if you wanted to make a motion, if you would chose to adopt tonight, wanted to make a motion to take Church Street out now because of the concerns, and then maybe come back and talk more specifically about that recommendation or others, that we could make an amendment in the near future.
So is there any way that we can have a meeting and have the public's input and what the public wants? I mean, is that too late? Yeah. I mean, it's just not us.
For this process, unfortunately, because we've gone through the public process, and unfortunately, we're able to get a place here in Stoneville.
I can get you a place tomorrow.
This is something that, in the typical process that we were pretty much, we're done at this point in terms of recommendations. I think we heard about Church Street, and I think otherwise it sounds like, for the most part, people have bought into the idea of the multimodal connectivity in the town. We could, it would just delay some things, but that's up to you, up to the council.
I think it's important to hear what people want and the citizens that live here and what they want. I know what I like, but that's me. I mean, if we're doing this and it's a 10-year plan or 15-year plan, what's another month? And I'm not trying to be smart by all means. I'm just trying to be thoughtful of everybody else that lives here. I mean, we have new homes, new people coming here. We want to make sure we want them to stay here. you know, but it's important to hear what they want. I keep scratching my head. I don't know who would want to do that on Church Street to go to 135. That makes, whoever you're one person, I appreciate you and respect you, but it makes no sense. So I think a meeting needs to be, I know of 3 places we can have a meeting. If you want to get with me or Mr. Sands or Delia, whoever, and we can plan it for the next month, the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we've got the sources to get it out there and let the citizens, let everybody decide what's needed. That's fair to y'all too. Really, that is fair.
I think what we can do is we can bring the recommendations on the plan.
Yes, sir.
Understanding that Church Street was a contentious issue. I'd like to say that for the rest of the highway, your highways are pretty good around here. They really are. It gets people in and out of here pretty easily. Again, we talked about what Church Street, what the intent was. But beyond that, I think getting people around and, like you said, not having to walk on the side of the road versus to have some kind of a sidewalk or some kind of path to be able to. Those are things that I think could be helpful. And if you all want to do that, that's fine. We can delay adoption until maybe the next time you meet, and in the interim have a quick public involvement meeting to go through that.
I personally think that is a must. It's, even downtown. I don't think anybody disagrees with adding the bike lanes. It's larger cities all have them. Yes, we should have them. People bike. Don't disagree. My concern is the space, and I don't think that I'm going to be alone with that. If the people who live on those roads are going to look at their front yard and say, well, the sidewalk's already almost here, how would this happen? I think those will be the questions that come back to you all. It would help us determine whether or not they should stay on or not.
Okay, so what we're going to do is table it, and if either one of y'all can get with Mr. Sands or something, and I'm sure we can line up somewhere to. And thank you for doing that. I know
Yes,
that's not
thank
what you come in to do, but I mean, I want to do what's fair and right to everyone. So really, we do thank you, and thank you for doing that. I know that took a long time. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah, he's getting ready to put my fan on.
Next is the, Mr. Russell, we're okay just tabling it. Do we need to make a?
Well, you can make a motion to get back in sync. I should have a motion to second.
I can make a motion. I just don't remember exactly what it said on the.
This table consideration of the
yeah.
comprehensive transportation.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we table the consideration of the Rockingham County Comprehensive Transportation Plan until the town can hold a session with our citizens for feedback, and then we will relay that information.
I second.
So I have a motion from Councilwoman Jessica Smith. I have a second from Councilwoman Daisy Smith. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a consideration to adopt Resolution R-2026-06, adopting the Rockingham County Comprehensive Transportation Plan for the town of Stoneville. And we're going to, that's tabled off now because that's what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Next is a consideration to adopt the 2026-2027 budget. Would be what we have that we just went into budget hearing.
Did Kurt have something on this?
Well, I know you got permission to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I know we've met, seemed like 100 times about this budget, and it was way over to start with. What was it to start with, Mary Ann? Over $1 million. And what's it down to now, 170?
It's down to right around 200. Of that, 170 is coming out of fund balance and then for one-off expenses. And then 30,000 would be to cover everyday expenses. So it's about 200.
So if I ask for some changes in this budget, do I do them individually one at a time, or I tell you everything?
Well, I mean, if you need changes, that's.
And I'm not trying to grandstand here in front of everybody, but this has just been weighing on me, you know, things I've heard since I've been on the council is, once they did that new tax structure in Rockingham County, and everybody says, what are you gonna do with all that money? And we didn't really know how much money we had coming in that first year. And then it flowed into the next year, but what I'd like to do is there are people that are struggling around here and need things. And taxes are a major concern all over the country and all over Rockingham County. I've heard that people are moving out of Stoneville because of it. I'm not trying to put a negative on anything, but I would like to, I think our job is to represent the people of the town in their best interest. And what little it might be, Mary Ann, you could tell me, but to change it to 67 cents from 69, or at least 68 cents.
You're talking about the tax
The
rate?
ad valorem or the millage rate. And I think, I asked you once before, and I don't want to put words in your mouth how much it was, but
Per penny, it's about roughly $12,000 to $13,000.
so if we did 2 cents,
It'd be about $26,000 that we would have to take because we wouldn't have it anywhere else.
gotcha. Okay, so here's the second part. And I don't know how you want to act on any of it, but I would be in favor of eliminating code enforcement, and I know I got pushed back on that before. And try to do it in-house the best we can. I think we've made some progress, and all, but that's an expenditure which is 40,000 plus, is it not? 40 to 45. And the other thing was to take that 40,000 out of that escrow for the fire truck. And I would like for us to move as a council and in good faith that we're going to supply the fire department with a new fire truck or a used fire truck or whatever we need to do. But for us to be trying to be pigeonholing money, which is just going to sit there and it's not going to move all year long because we're not going to spend it. But it's causing our budget not to balance. Some of it is. But, I think the citizens and the fire department, they've got to trust us in believing if they come to us with a good plan and they've researched everything that they can about what new trucks cost and the best one for the job. And even the mayor asked the last time, can we look into some used stuff? There might be the city of Greensboro, Winston-Salem, or somebody that, and I think we got the answer was, well, we don't want somebody else's problem. And I understand that, but everybody don't drive brand new cars. I don't know, but we've got $1 million in the fund balance, right?
After this year, once we finish this year out where we did the roads, it's going to be down to less than $1 million, and now we're taking another 200 next year. So it's going to go down to about 800.
And the other twist on this whole thing is Mr. Smith came 6 months ago, or maybe further back than that, and had a group of with him, and was talking about a plan to have a full-time fire chief and an assistant fire chief. When I first came on the council, we were sitting up here talking about merging with Shiloh and Northwest and everybody in this part of the county. And I don't know where that came from, but it wasn't even doable. We didn't even know the facts to be able to make a legitimate decision about that. And I just want to know before we spend $1 million of the taxpayers' money on a fire truck, whether we're gonna finance it or not, that we've got a good plan in place, and we know what's in the best interest of our firefighters. But some of this money that goes to that department needs to go to personnel. We need to grow our fire department and bring some young people in. Like Mr. Smith was talking about, I'm 75 and I can't do what I did when I was 35. But, you know, these are dangerous situations these people are put in. And I think we need to make these adjustments so that we can spend more on our people. And, you know, but if we've got $1 million truck in the building and we don't have anybody to run it, then that's a big deal. Those, you know, you just can't jump in one of those things and, with a driver's license. They're big pieces of equipment. I've driven one of them, and they're not easy to drive. They're nerve-wracking to drive, actually. And for me, it was. But that's just my intentions there, and that's all got to do with money. But the only other thing was that I had to say was the insurance for the in-town employees. I know that we talked about that, and we decided that we weren't going to take a vote on that. That it was a directive from the departments and everything, but you know, we had it wrong, and we tried to correct it, and then it's back again, you know. So I just want to make sure we were doing the right thing there, and take a vote whether it's up or down on who we select on that. But those two items themselves, the 40 on the fire truck and the 45 from the code enforcement, that would bring it down to 85, and then you take that oil away. So it's a $60,000 positive, pretty much, somewhere in that neighborhood.
The code enforcement's 26.
It's 26? Yeah, but don't we have, that's like to tear something down or burn it or something, isn't it? I think the
Code enforcement salaries, because it was the split with Medan, is
Yeah.
what we had budgeted. So our portion was 26 per this.
yeah, it was
There
30.
was a portion of that also for action, so there was an additional.
15,
Right on the bottom, yeah, under it. Sorry, yes.
So it's
15
big
for
41.
41,000.
Yeah, 26 and 15 for expenses.
Well, I mean, if I hear crickets, that's okay, you know. I just felt obligated to say it. And if you don't want to take any of that away from the fire department or the code enforcement, either one, we can go deeper in the hole, but I'd still like to change the millage rate.
Can I just have a question. Is it, I know that in the packet is the fire, you had asked the questions in the last meeting, because we didn't know if we had financing options, if it was even a thing, would we have to put money down? So one of the reasons we made the decision to start pushing the money aside, because there was nothing there, was based on an assumption that we might be asked to do a down payment.
Correct.
Is it possible for you all to go ahead and discuss that as part of this discussion? Because in the packet, we now have that in, or you have some guidance, I guess, towards the financing options, et cetera. Is that right? Did you get a feel for if we would have to have those funds for down payment?
I think in all three cases, and Chief Freeman can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in all three cases, there was that option, but it was not required. Right now, all it would be required would be a commitment on behalf of the town to enter into a contract to purchase the vehicle when it was ready, roughly 30 months down the road. So there is an option where you could pay in increments as things became complete, or wait and start payment as soon as the truck is available and ready for pickup. From the LGC's perspective, we cannot seek financing per se until we're ready to make that loan, because otherwise we would be in the situation that we spoke before about having the interest-only loan that would build up to that. Well, even with the discounts that the companies would offer, that wouldn't be the most fiscally responsible approach. So the loaning of that funds and getting it, that we would be paying the company and then we'd be paying the loan off would be the better of the two options. In terms of who we've spoken to, and help me if I miss any of these, but Civic, Credit Union, Claim Credit Union, Fidelity, USDA, those are the four that, and all four have acknowledged that the loan should not be a concern, that we should be able to easily qualify for the loan. Acclaim was extremely interested in that they were local and that it would be a relationship that we could build there. And I think in all cases we would have options to do what's right for the town.
So it's just a question of whether that 40,000 is financed and we pay interest on it, or whether we try to hold it so that we don't pay interest on it.
The only benefit I say of having that set aside is that when payments become ready to be made, we could use that as a down payment at that point of pickup, and then when we're paying less towards the loan.
Correct.
So in essence, like as Kurt said, it would be sitting there, being unused, but on the day of, when we're ready to sign for the loan, we're not having to loan as much, if that makes any sense.
Because even if we said today, a fire truck,
Right.
5 years, right? Did you say?
Yeah, I just want to say that the two vendors that are on the table are here. So if you have any questions, now's the time to ask.
Well, I was curious, I know this is impossible to project, but if you based it on today's interest rate, say you got 2 years of budget, so you had the 40 this year. I think realistically, we're all expecting the same budget constraints next year. We're being realistic and transparent about this, which is why we've had 100 discussions about budget. So if you did the 40 this year, let's say because we did it this year, we feel there's room and we did it again next year. So then you're talking about 80, and what would the savings in interest be by holding it versus not holding it? Because really, it's the interest that would make the difference, but I know there's no way for us to know what interest rates are going to look like 2 years from now.
Correct. So we did seek out to see what the interest rate would be if we were to secure the loan immediately.
Right.
And that was 4.9% was what we were quoted as of 2 weeks ago. So using the math, 4.9% against 80,000, how much that savings would be.
So we talked about a little bit in one of those budget planning sessions about what the payoff was currently. And I think we asked the question, what do you think the value of the one is that we're replacing for $1 million? And they said we might be able to get $20,000 for it or something. So what is the payoff on it?
The payoff, I don't have that with me, I would have to look it up. I know we still have about 2 years on it, and each month it is about $2,500. So if you take $2,500,
60.
times 24 months, it's about 60,000.
So we'd
Roughly
lose 40,000 just if we got out of it early. If that's all we could get for the other one was 20. We'd still have to pay that 60,000 off to do anything. But I think that's a good plan, that you've got these gentlemen here, like Chief, that are here, and I think that's what I'm looking for, and everybody is, for you to bring a good plan to us and to make progress and move forward. But I mean, for us to just come up here and arbitrarily decide $1 million, I want to commit to doing what we want us to do. But But I don't see the purpose of taking $40,000 out of one pocket and putting it in another one, and it's not doing anything. If we need to go in there and get that money for something, we can do a budget amendment and pull it out. But that money that's sitting in that fund balance is drawing quite a bit of interest. I would hope it's doing a lot better than it used to. Yeah, like 2 or 3% better, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. But anyway, that's all I got, man. Is that enough?
Any further discussion?
I think we ought to table that one.
Table
The
the,
budget. I know it's
What is the deadline for having that budget
Yeah.
approved?
it's supposed to be this.
Budget must be in place by July 1.
exactly,
By July 1?
yes.
Have a special meeting. Need to discuss this more.
That's a lifetime to me sometimes. Got 30 days.
Is that a, is that a
I mean,
possibility?
seriously, I mean, we've done met, I don't know, 6 or 8 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one more time, just to get it right and do what everybody wants to do, and, you know, to hear these gentlemen tonight, whoever they are, with these companies.
Yeah, we're gonna hear them down because we've got the consideration.
And
Is that what you brought them in for?
No, they
Yeah.
reached out to me, they wanted to
Okay.
be here, so, but,
Gotcha.
they're here if you want to ask questions. I won't put them on the spot,
what companies are they with?
but C.W. Williams and E1, Fire Finance, I'm sorry.
So we ordered a truck today, when would it be delivered? What's the time frame?
I can't speak for the other, but 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3? Okay. And the other?
So we're right at 30 months from a signed contract. So what we do there is we get ready, we sit down, we've already kind of looked over the blueprints, we'll do them again. The engineer, make sure everything is spec to what the fire department has requested. So then we'll get a pre-bill package. So then, once we sign off, the fire department signs off on the pre-bill package, it starts at that time frame. So, normally right now, we're looking at about 4 to 6 weeks. If they sign a contract tonight, it's 4 to 6 weeks for us to get a pre-bill package. Once we get that pre-bill package, and all that is just to approve and make sure it's a final decision. We do multiple decisions along the route to make sure the truck is what they want. So once we do that pre-bill sign, that's when the truck bills start.
Right.
I just want to build trust with the fire department, for them to know that we're going to do what's right. And if we need to put a motion on the floor and approve it, that we're going to get you what you need to do the job. But we don't need to be held accountable to pigeonhole money, you know, in good faith that we're going to do it. We don't do it in other departments. So there's no reason to balance the budget off of the back of the people.
So I guess I want to ask if you're going to delay that, then while the vendors are here, I'm going to put them on the spot. Is the price going to go up if we're going to delay it? I just want to put it all out there. I don't know, I can't speak for you guys with your pricing, but how is that going to affect? Since they're here.
So what I can tell you is with the tariffs has changed the world a lot. So pricing keeps going up. So even if it's an E1 or a Rosenbauer fire truck or whoever, you know, they have hundreds of vendors that they buy equipment stuff from to build their trucks. So each time they go for pricing, it adds more to your price. I hate to tell you, their trucks are not getting any cheaper. They're getting more expensive. The reason why we do put the discounts in there is it's kind of an incentive to save you money. It's an option for you. You don't have to choose that. We just want to give you all the different options that's available for your town. When you sign a contract, there's no money up front. You don't have to pay a dime. Just as like what Jeffrey said.
after the final, the pre-build is done. So there's a process after you sign a contract. It kind of goes along. It only takes about 3 or 4 months to build a fire truck, but it's just a process of getting everything, supplies, getting everything in production, things like that. That's the reason why it takes a while. But unfortunately, what I can tell you is this, and I can't speak for Jeffrey, but all custom cab trucks now are over $1 million.
And what are the discounts? What's the dollar amount on your discounts?
See, you've got those in there. So there's like there's a discount if you pay up front, there's a discount after the chassis comes in, like a year and a half down the road, you can do it. You can save money for a prepayment on chassis. So like I say, it just varies. There's a chassis prepayment, when the chassis is complete, you save $18,931. Chassis prepayment at contract signing, $51,240. And 100% prepayment at contract signing, you save $109,600. So you can save quite a bit of money. But like I said, we just give you those options to help the customer, the town out. And I can't speak for Jeffrey or that.
And it's the same way with us. And I will say this, a lot of departments we deal with today, more likely, I'd say 80% of those don't do a payment till the truck arrives at their fire station. That's when we take payment. We hardly ever have a prepay, and the only reason why we have a prepay is some departments say, we've been saving money for 3 years, we're ready to go ahead and pay for it. That's when they get their up-the-front savings.
Most of the time on prepayment, it's for the chassis. Everybody does a prepayment for the chassis or whatever. So if they do a chassis prepayment, saves you a few dollars.
Y'all interest, like, do you match whatever interest we get? We can find the lowest interest. I bet y'all will. You think? No?
I'm sorry.
Would y'all match whatever interest, like if we find a lower interest, would y'all be willing to negotiate and match the interest that we find?
So I also truly would leave it up to the town. It's up to y'all to find the interest. We do offer some kind of interest, but it's not as good as your local governments or your banks. Most of the time, 98% of the time, you're going to see that your local banks have a better interest rate than us.
Right.
We're a larger company, so the interest rate's normally 2 to 3% higher. So, and most of the time when they call us, we're like, hey, you probably know people in the bank that we don't know, so you call them, that's when it's better off. 98% of the time, your local banks do your interest.
That makes sense. Did you have a lot of orders? Did y'all have a lot of orders during COVID when all the COVID money come in? Did you see an up in orders from that?
So that's why, like you said, I mean, it's 3 to 4 months to build a fire truck. So we don't start building until every piece of metal or every piece of that truck is in a cart. We put everything in the cart. That's when E1 says, okay, hey, let's ready to start building this fire truck. But what it is, our backlog is from COVID. We're catching up from. We had so many orders. And a lot of that comes from people that know what money was going to do, and so that's when we had a large order come in.
Yeah,
that's the backlog is what makes it that 3 years.
It's the chassis. It's hard to get chassis now. So if some manufacturers, there's one manufacturer makes a lot of the chassis with the account for the manufacturers, and they've gone from making 10 or 12 a week to 3 or 4 a week. And so, back when COVID happened, people lost employees, and they figured out, hey, they can do more with less. And like Jeff was saying, it's not getting any better. And like I said, unfortunately, I can't tell you that trucks will go down because I've been with this company for 9 years, and they've continued to go up. And it's not the dealer, it's the manufacturer.
I understand.
So, like I said, the longer you wait when you're looking at a new truck, the more it's going to cost you. And then, and looking at used trucks, used trucks, people
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen. You're just gonna keep putting more money in. We have 3 service centers in North Carolina, so we have them full of, every one of our service centers all the time, so.
How different is it to operate the new trucks versus the one that we have presently? I guess you viewed the one that we have and made
I'm that one,
evaluation.
sir, yes, sir. I'm Joseph does all this. A lot of stuff is actually pretty easier than some of the older trucks. You know, a lot of it's electronics nowadays, and I'm used to driving some of these older fire trucks. I mean, I'm in my 60s, so that's what I'm saying. I've drove some, but a lot of them are easier. Again, with a custom truck, it's a bigger chassis than a commercial chassis that just holds 2 people. So the big benefit for the fire department is with a custom cab is it's a safe cab. So if there's an accident, it protects the firefighters, the driver. So, but they're, again, depending on the length and the restrictions that you have for fire stations and things like that. Now, trucks are getting smaller, so you can either go this way or go this way. But I mean, I've drove fire trucks for many years. I mean, I think they're a little bit easier, but again, it goes back to driver training and education. A lot of stuff now is just punch and play. People are used to playing video games and stuff, so it's getting easier.
Any other questions? So do we want to make a motion? I mean, do y'all want to go into recess later? And do we have to have a date when?
When you recess, you have to have a date and time.
All right, so when we go in, like into closed session, can we decide what day, instead of doing it right here, what date works, so we'll know? And then when we come back out, we can announce what day?
You can do that outside. You can go into closed session.
Yes, sir.
Come back out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That way, it's more time for them, so we won't hold people, because we'll have to look at our phones and our calendars. Is that what you want?
That'll be fine.
Do you need to make a motion to?
I'll make a motion that we go cover this in recess and then get a date set up, convene for everybody.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Daisy Smith, all in favor? Aye. Okay, next. Next is the consideration to adopt ordinance 0-2026-09, amending the flood damage prevention ordinance. And that's what was discussed earlier.
It's in the packet, sorry. So I would make a motion that the town council concurs with the planning board and finds that the proposed text amendments to the flood damage prevention ordinance are consistent with the most recent comprehensive land development plan, as it actively enforces base flood elevation requirements and restricts incompatible uses within special flood hazard areas. Also, the town council concurs with the planning board and finds that the proposed text amendments are reasonable and in the public interest, as it promotes the public health, safety, and general welfare of the community by reducing vulnerabilities to flood hazards, mitigating future property damage, and ensuring that the town of Stoneville remains in good standing with the National Flood Insurance Program. So based on that, I would make a motion for approval of ordinance O-2026-09 flood damage prevention ordinance.
So we have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Jessica Smith. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second, Councilwoman Daisy Smith. All in favor?
Discussion.
Yep, go ahead.
So, tell me, I saw where, I guess Rex Tuggle signed the first one years ago. That's the same thing. What is the big difference in these? What are we changing?
There is minimal difference. The reason that we have to re-adopt is anytime the maps for the flood insurance rate maps are adjusted in any way, shape, or form, it is required in order for the ordinance to remain current. So that's all we're doing, is we're taking the current language and applying it to the current maps rather than the old language applying to the current maps. So there's very minimal language change. And we have had the gentleman from the state, he has reviewed our proposal, and he says it meets the requirements.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the consideration of the proposed street name for the private drive located at 3... No, sorry. Consideration of quotes for the new pumper and tanker fire apparatus. Sorry about that.
So based on the discussion that was held with the budget, this is the proposal with the two quotes from the two companies to provide the new fire truck, pumper, tanker, and it was the recommendation to go with the E1 pumper tanker if that is the wishes of the council, as it's stated by both vendors that are here today. They have to have a necessary lead time in order to be prepared to provide the truck in at least roughly 30 months. So with that said, I'm open for any questions you may have at this time.
Do you have any questions? Okay.
I'm assuming we're going to talk about this when we go into closed session?
No.
It's not something you brought in closed session. Oh, okay.
I personally thought that this,
What's
well, I
coming?
think the decision was, we needed the information about the down payment, whether we had the LGC approval to seek the loans. You guys just got that information. Sounds like we're not required to have a down payment, so really we're talking about possible interest savings, or savings for earlier payments up front. So I didn't catch exactly what those numbers are, but I feel like that would be the discussion around whether or not to make this decision at this exact moment, would be running those numbers and comparing if there's a greater savings to the town by putting this money over there. Because, and make sure, Marianne, I'm thinking about this correctly, because I know we're sticking on this $40,000 and whatever. We're not going to spend the $40,000. We're just saying, hey, we were setting it over here, we were restricting it. But it's still going to, it sits in the same bank account earning interest while it just sits there, correct?
Yes.
Doesn't hurt the town. We're still making money off of it. So this gain there would be that if we take it back out, we could potentially do the tax rate drop. But ultimately, we still have to pay that money. I mean, at some point, we're paying this $80,000. And I know this is the sticking point over and over and over, because we were severely short. And then I think we all agreed that we needed to fund what the fire department needed. So we tried to compromise to get here. And now we're kind of backing up again. I don't disagree with the tax rate. I firmly agree. But I don't know how to make the fire department decision, I guess, without us making the budget. I feel like the budget decision needs to be made ahead of the fire department decision. That's just my personal opinion.
Agree.
I don't know if you all agree, everybody agrees or not, but. So does that mean that we have to table the fire truck decision until after now the new date for the special meeting for the budget, correct?
I would think so.
Right?
Well, let me just clarify one thing. You talk about reserving the $40,000, but there's nothing else in the budget to purchase the truck.
No.
So really those decisions, what you're doing if you make a commitment is you're contracting to purchase the truck, and your intention is to finance it under arrangements to be made later. That's really what you're doing.
Correct.
Exactly.
But
Right.
you might not be comfortable, if you as a board say, well, we're not comfortable doing that, then that's your prerogative. But approved making this commitment is you're ordering the truck, you're going to order the truck, and then when the truck is delivered, by that time you have to arrange your finance for it.
But what was,
Probably not going to be any cash in
That's what I'm seeing. I mean, the 40,000's got nothing to do with whether we
Yeah,
approve
to me,
the
I
truck.
just find it separate. The idea was that setting aside the 40 would help you make the purchase, and you could do that. You could set aside 40 or 200,000 if you wanted to, but then you're setting that aside now when you have the option. Most of the, I think the information that's been presented is that.
But what was the
that they-
savings? If you order the parts that you could do early payment and get the savings, if we set this aside for the next, would we hit any of those thresholds, I guess, by saving the money prior to the date that we would have to hand it over to the vendor? Would we meet any of those? And would that savings be greater than not doing this now? I guess that was my question. And I don't feel like we've done that math right here.
The number he threw out a minute ago was like 1.89%, pretty much. And I mean, we're getting a bigger rate than that. Right now.
Not the rate. You said if you, I'm not sure who we just recommended, but the part, you said, oh, if you paid up front at this stage, it's this much savings. If you pay at this stage, it's this much savings. How many months into the process is each particular stage, and what would be the expected savings?
So on ours, what we do, if you decide, okay, we're going to decide what you want. So once we get the contract package put together, which after we put the contract package together, it's still 2 weeks after today. Even if we decide today, it's still 2 weeks. We get the contract signed together. We get the chief, whoever he wants to come in and sign the contract. We do the contract signing. And if you say, hey, we want to do the prepaid today, you have 30 days after you sign a contract to provide a payment. So once you provide the payment within that 30 days after your contract signed, you're saving with us a total upfront's roughly around $81,000.
But that's a total payment for the entire truck.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's, I'll say, all
So,
right.
and what happens then, and what some people don't quite understand there, once you've made that payment, you're going to roll into making a payment for a fire truck that you don't have yet. So that's where that comes into play. And like I said, that's just an option that we offer. I mean, it's not an option. We don't want none of your money up front. That's just an option provided to the town.
Okay,
So then once, at the end of the bill time, is when 80%, 85% of the fire department's paid once the truck's, once the truck's back into the fire station, that's when you provide.
okay, well, that's perfect, because that answered that question. Is yours by different or same?
So basically, our proposal to the town, so if you did a chassis prepayment, when the chassis is completed, and that could be a year down the road, a year and a half down the road, or maybe a little bit longer, payments due once the chassis is completed. That's paying for the chassis. Then you have a prepayment at contract signing at $51,240, and then you can pay that within 15 days after signing the contract. So that should be the thing. And of course, if you want to do a 100% prepayment, that means you're paying for the truck up front. You're saving basically $110,000.
So the 51K for the contract is required regardless of whether we finance it?
Within 15 days of signing the contract. But that's paying for, you're saving that. So that's whatever the cost of the chassis is. So if the chassis is $250,000, that's what you pay at the time the chassis comes in. But if you want to save the 51, it will come off the total price of the truck.
Okay.
I mean, we got a finance officer here. She can figure all this stuff out at some point in time.
Yeah, I mean, for what he's saying, we would have to spend $250,000 within, to pay for that chassis. And right now, we don't have that, so we'd be better off to finance it from the.
Right, so we can't possibly save it, yeah, even in 2 years.
And the only thing, and I'm just sitting here thinking, probably shouldn't be, but I am, if the possibility, and this would be something that we would have to ask the finance companies, if they would allow us to finance in stages. So as we're preparing and get closer to the time for the chassis to be ready, could we apply for a loan for just that portion of the full cost? Then during the time when the remaining next stage is taking place, we're making payments, but we're only making payments on that initial loan, not the entire $1 million loan. I don't know that that would be an option, but I mean, I guess we could entertain that question with our 4 contacts with the different institutions to see if that's an option, or if they would only loan it as an entire package.
Right, but what that answer, Joe, Kurt, is exactly what you're getting at. There's no benefit to the $40,000. It doesn't save us extra money. It won't help us with the interest savings, really, if you do that math, probably. So,
I mean, we could have arbitrarily said 80,000 or 120, what difference does it make? We're not gonna buy it either way until we commit to buying it. And once we commit and say we're going to get it, then that's when the financing begins. And, you know, the rubber hits the road then. But I don't know, to be worried about all this out front right now, I think, we've got the money there. That's what I was told the last 4 years we were sitting around saving it for, was a fire truck. And now we're being told that, well, we really don't need to spend it down any less than what? That fund balance. What's it supposed to be maintained at?
Y'all want to keep 60%. That is what your ordinance says, that y'all keep 60% in your fund balance. So, I mean, we can't go below that, according to the council and y'all's ordinance. So, and by the end of next year, it'll be down to about 800,000.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, like in your household budget, I mean, you can go out and buy this, whatever it is, and you can't buy groceries. But we got a lot of different departments to look after and take care of in this town. But I don't see it slowing down the process. I actually see it accelerating the process, that we're going to make a commitment to the fire department. We're going to put a truck in that bay. But they don't need to worry about how we're going to pay for it. That's our problem.
Agree.
They're not going to make any payments on it. It's our job to put it in the bay, and our job to put good personnel there that'll be in a safe manner, and have the best equipment that we can possibly afford. I don't know.
That's what he's asking for.
So what was your recommendation? I know what you were saying then was to table this, to put
the
this,
fire truck behind the budget. So in the same meeting,
That we
special meeting,
recessed.
can we do the fire truck in the same special meeting with the budget, or no, we have to do a separate?
Questions of the prices are good. You know, you have an opportunity to save money, if you want to save money, by ordering a truck. Have an agreed price. And so the question is, you know, if these folks are going to hold their prices for you to have another meeting, I don't think they want to hold anything over your head. I don't know what they're required to do. But, you know, it might not make a difference.
Do we have a date on how long the quote's good for?
I think C.W. Williams is good through like June, based on the last quote, middle of June.
You got the dates, I think, was it on email? I thought I seen it.
it's on the thing,
My question is there anything that's going to cause us to say, no, we're not going to get a fire truck? Is there anything?
What did he say?
Thanks, the next few
So
days.
why are we not giving them the
Good till the end of
and then
June.
we work out the details? I have a question to the council. Is there anything that would cause us to say, no, we're not going to purchase this fire truck? We just can't buy a fire truck. Is there anything? Because if it's not, then I would think we would go ahead and give them the go-ahead and we work out the details. That's just my opinion. So
As
is
soon as
there,
we get, I agree, as soon as we get the information that we need to work the details out.
yeah, but we're going to give them the go-ahead anyway, no matter what. Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly? So Why not take them out of this conversation and give them the go-ahead and we work out the details?
It's just a matter of them deciding which contractor's gonna do it.
Well, it doesn't have to be between these two. It could be a used truck. We haven't got that answer yet.
I thought we decided we didn't want a used truck.
No, I've heard others say that. I haven't heard the council say that. The mayor's the one that posed the question last time.
We just discussed that, but after we've discussed that, these guys that know what they're doing and saying it, just like these guys.
But they sell fire trucks for a living.
But I'm not.
I will say this on another hand, so we repair and sell fire trucks, and some of the issues we run into today is finding the availability of parts, which puts the truck down out of service longer to get the availability of that part. So that's something to keep in mind when we're looking at.
See, what we did was, what we brought it up was during COVID. We know there was a lot of COVID money that all these towns like Charlotte and whoever had all this huge money. So they didn't have a used truck that they were just trying to ditch off. They just had the money to be able to buy a new one. That was the discussion. It's not like we were going to go to a car lot and say, oh, okay, that's used. We like it. It looks pretty. We were thinking that route. But since we've had that meeting that we discussed that, I have talked to other folks. I came up here the other night to sign something with Joel and talk to him. I've talked to former Steve Evans. I mean, I know nothing about a fire truck, so I have to go by what, I don't even have a vote. I have a voice. But I have to respect what they have to say. I mean, but that was what made me bring it up, was there was a lot of money out there where they had a lot of money. Maybe there was something out there that was good that they just had to get rid of their money. You were on a time frame for the COVID money. And I mean, I know there were a lot of fire trucks bought then just by knowing somebody that does what y'all do. So that's why I brought that up. It's not like just pick out a fire truck somewhere. But
And I also think we would have to consider if we did go with the user out based on, like, I know Kurt said, we should further review that, but then we might have to increase the budget on the maintenance line.
yeah.
So there may be an additional impact. We would need to think about that.
Yeah, and then the other discussion was, as Joel said, Chief Freeman, that if you buy a new one, you're buying just a bare minimum. You're having to put all that stuff on and all that. So we thought about that. If you buy a used, you don't have to do that. It's already there. But those guys, y'all, they know. I mean, Steve quickly told me, no, that's not good. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. I mean, I don't have a vote, but we're just trying to figure out what worked best. But I mean, I think Daisy, what she's saying is, what you're saying makes total sense. I mean, it's not a matter of if, it's going to happen. It's just a matter
of how.
This part of it.
This for the council's part, which is not their part. So
right.
We're subjecting them to all of this conversation that doesn't.
Right. It's going back and forth.
I got one more question. So we've been throwing this $1 million around about a fire truck. So I want the best for the town of Stoneville. And apparently we run them for 25 years. So is that the best we can buy or best we can afford? Are there $700,000 fire trucks out there, or are there, how much do all of them cost? What's the difference in them?
So I will say this on my behalf of our connections in E1. So we do all commercial cab, conventional cab, and custom cab. So one thing about the E1, you have a couple sitting in your bay. The newest truck sitting in your bay is a roll cage cab. So that's where we go with the safety factor versus a conventional cab such as a Freightliner, something like that. So, we preach, a lot of days people preach on the safety. And we go with the roll cage cab versus conventional, which there's no roll cage in the cab of conventional cab, it's just aluminum. Everything on our E1s is built by 3/16 aluminum, which we put the roll cage around where the firefighters are going to be sitting. So that there is some differences there, but if you start looking at the safety versus conventional, that goes into what the town decides to eat.
And you also got to think in 2 years, you're saying the payment's $2,500 a month, so 2 years is $60,000. It's going to take at least 2 years to make this thing. After it's made and delivered, that truck's going to be paid for, so that $2,500 a month will go towards. It'll be just like we'll keep you're not having to look in the budget for the whole amount. You're already paying 2,500 that's in this budget every time. It's gonna be in the budget going forward too.
And I was in support of kind of what Daisy was saying. That was my personal, you guys did the review, you've answered it now. When we left the last meeting, my question was, one, are they gonna require down payment? Two, are they even gonna let us do it? We had the recommendation. And so as long as we were out of the loan that we're paying on, and it's basically a wash in the budget, I was gonna be okay with that, so.
I can't guarantee it's gonna be a wash.
Well, but close
That
enough, yeah.
that truck was half the cost,
Yeah.
so it's not gonna be
So,
a wash.
did you and Steve pick this truck, Chief?
Me and Barry worked endless hours on finding the right truck. This truck is very unique. It serves as 3 trucks in one. It has a multi-purpose, so there was a lot of thought, a lot of consideration into the fires and the emergencies that we've had over my past 3 years as the chief on what this truck is responsible for us in emergencies for the citizens and the people in our area. There was a lot of thought that went into this truck. This was not something that we just put together and said, this is what we want. We did a lot of research on fires in our area, between having wrecks on 220 with car fires. There was a lot of time and effort and thought that was put into this.
So Marion, you think it could potentially be double? You said this truck was about twice what the one we previously financed. So if we just,
And we probably won't get the same
interest rate, right, so if we, at minimum, we just double it, we're already.
And we don't even know when that truck was bought X amount of years ago, how much money we paid down on that or anything. I mean, that loan could have been for, yeah, there's a lot of factors there for sure, but we do know the payment's 2,500. So if you get something that's a $10,000 payment, we know we're used to paying 2,500, so you'd really be doing 7,500, right? Yeah. So where are we going here? Do we want, I've heard it, Cap, you got something? Okay.
We know we're gonna get the truck. That's for sure. I think there's some more discussion that you wanted to have. I would just say, go ahead and order it.
You're gonna make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we go ahead and obtain or entertain the idea of ordering that E-111 fire truck.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Thornton, a second from Bennett. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Does that settle number 5?
Sir, ma'am?
It does, it settle number 5?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Next is the consideration of the proposed street name for the private drive located at 309 South Henry Street. This location is the new Public Works building that was built right down below the car wash.
Yes, so we had a family member of Joe Kellum approach us with the possibility of naming of something in town to honor his service to the town. As we did some additional investigation, I believe it was June 30th of 1990. Mr. Kellum retired from the town of Stoneville with 30 years of service in the Public Works Department. After evaluating all options, knowing that the new Public Works building was on the edge of town, it was recommended naming the drive going to the Public Works in honor of his service to the town.
Any discussion?
Yeah, do we have any further discussion? And Delia has looked, and the name is good with the state. It's available, so that would be no problem.
I will say on top of that, we did approach the requested information from the company that did the current signage in town, and we have a price from them. We are also looking at an alternative option. So at this time, we don't actually have the sign itself ready to go, but this would allow us to move forward with that as well.
Second.
So I'll make a motion that we accept and name the proposed street name, Joe Kellum, the street at 309 South Henry Street, Public Works location, that we name that street in honor of Joe Kellum.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Daisy Smith. Second, Bennett. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
And I meant Joe Kellum Drive.
Yeah, it is. It will be Joe Kellum Drive, yes. That will be a day, we're in contact with Leon and working that out, and that'll be a special day for that family. Next is the town administrator report. Mr. Sands.
Several announcements are just to make the way bringing up to date. One is, if you were in town this morning, you realized that the weather siren did go off. We contacted CCOM regarding that issue. They were testing the alarm. They're dealing with new software, and I think that may have created somewhat of a glitch. But anyway, we're working with them. We've asked them if they notify the town in advance moving forward anytime they plan to do an alert for that siren. So we apologize for any concern and stress that this may have caused, but we're working with CCOM to make that correct. Also an update on the Glendale project that is scheduled for completion Thursday and Friday of this week, barring any issues with weather. So we're there. We do want to thank everyone who came out for May Day. We've not had a meeting since that time. We feel May Day was a success, and thank all the participants and the citizens that came out and supported those vendors. And then just to make everyone aware, starting tomorrow, the work that was approved from Town Hall is scheduled to begin. We'll have the glass walls that are in there that will be removed, and then we'll be moving forward with the project as proposed and approved by the council.
Okay. So that finishes up for this evening. As I always say, in the world that you could be anything, be kind. You never know what anyone in this world's going through, and being kind costs you absolutely nothing. At this time,
You don't have to go through that, right?
no, we're good.
Okay.
We have, on the announcements, you can go through the agenda and look at the announcements. At this time, do we have a motion? We're going to go into closed session. That will be section 6, which will be a personnel issue. So I have a motion at this time to go into closed session. A second?
Second.
Councilwoman Jessica Smith, all in favor? Aye. So we're now in closed session.